She wouldn't have shot him otherwise.
Hey, if that's what you want to go with, be my guest.
A defense attorney who does his own weapons test. You know your way around guns.
That gun was registered to your client's dead husband. Looks like it was fired an awful lot. Well oiled, too. Your client did a good job maintaining it. But you probably already knew that.
You always this chatty?
It's gonna be hard to argue your client killed a boy in self-defense. There's no evidence he ever even had the gun. His prints weren't on it.
So the son's prints went on the gun. I'm not surprised. Guns this well oiled usually don't hold prints. But you already knew that, right?
Your client kept the gun in a lockbox. We found the key to that lockbox on her keychain when we arrested her. We didn't find one on the boy. So how could he have gotten the gun?
It's called a kill shot. I looked at the medical examiner's report. He says that this shot to the back brought Sam down, and it's the first shot that Karen fired.
You sure? The DA sounded pretty confident about her case. This must be why. It looks bad.
And the shot went through the heart. That's why the second shot to Sam's shoulder barely bled. His heart wasn't even pumping by then. The ME also said that the bullet in Sam's back went in at an upward angle.
Looks like Sam's torso was bent forward as if he were running away.
Maybe she panicked and squeezed the trigger. It wasn't a kill shot, it was a lucky shot. It's possible.
Maybe, but I tested the gun. It took 9 pounds of pressure to squeeze the trigger. DA will say that Karen pulled the trigger on purpose.
Yes, because she felt trapped, in danger. She did the only thing she could.
It's a big house, Ron. It's going to be hard to explain to a jury how anyone could feel trapped in it.
And there's another problem. The gun was upstairs, the bullets were downstairs. The DA is going to say that by the time Karen got the gun and the bullets, she could have fled or called the police. And she didn't.
Yes, we got bad evidence. Our job is to find good evidence or make the bad evidence work for us. We're her advocates. We have to defend her zealously. That's our job.
Tell us you know about Ron and Karen.
Not much.
They were close. Very close. They dated before Ron married his first wife. I'm wondering whether it could affect his judgment.
Well, could make him more committed to the case, which I like to see. And besides, if you think he's too close to Karen, we can still make sure he doesn't go off the rails. We're on the case, too.
Then shouldn't we be talking to her? Ron's in a meeting with Karen right now, alone. Not with Miranda, not with you.
I'll go in.
We've done some investigation. Your story has some problems.
It's not a story, Ron. It's what I remembered happening.
I understand, but you shot Sam in the back first as he was moving away from you. What happened that day?
It wasn't just that day. Sam was violent most days.
How long had this been going on?
Years. Sam was 15 the first time it happened.
We should get Miranda in here. She needs to hear this.
Why didn't you call? I could have done something.
I did call, Ron. I called you many times. You just never called back. First time it happened, he had a book in his hand. And he hit me in the face with it, and I went down. I remember my eyes watering, not because I was crying, but because he hit me so hard. And I just laid there, waiting, praying that he'd just go.
What happened the day of the shooting?
I made him his lunch, and he got angry. He jumped up from the table and he slapped me, and then he left. And by the time he got back, I knew that he was going to do it this time. He was going to kill me. That's when I got the gun, and I waited for him to come back.
What happened when your son came back, Karen? Can you tell us?
He was even more messed up on drugs. I could tell he had this look that I'd never seen before. It was like he was going to kill me right then. And then he started screaming at me like he said he was sick of me, he was sick of his house, of his life, and he was going to put an end to it, all of it. And that's when he punched me in the eye. And then he saw the gun.
What did he do?
Oh, he turned away for a moment.
To get a weapon and a knife? Did you think he was getting a knife from the table?
I didn't know what he was going to do. And then I shot him. It was my only chance.
She's a battered woman. It's like spousal abuse. The fact that her abuser was her son and not her husband is irrelevant.
How do we explain why she didn't leave the house?
Women who've been abused this badly don't think that there's a safe place to go. It's got to be worse for a mother. She felt like she was trapped.
Right, and in her mind, Sam was going to kill her. So she did the only thing she thought she could do to protect herself. This might work.
Are you serious, Tom? Battered parent syndrome.
Why not?
Because it's never been done before. For battered wives who kill their husbands, yes, plenty of times. For mothers killing their sons, never.
How do you even prove she was a battered parent? There are no witnesses to the abuse. She never reported it. Her boyfriend didn't even know about it.
Could mean that she's telling the truth. I had the paralegals do research on the defense. Battered women don't usually report their abuse, even to their friends. They're afraid to talk about it, ashamed. It's the reason she didn't tell us about it. Sam had been abusing her for a long time. A year and a half ago, she was admitted for a dislocated shoulder. 7 months back, she went in for a broken arm. 3 months after her broken arm, Karen was back in the hospital to get her hand treated for a burn. This proves she was a victim of Sam's abuse.
It says here she told the doctor she broke her arm skiing. These other injuries could just be accidents, too. We can't prove Sam is to blame.
These injuries weren't accidents. She didn't tell anyone because she couldn't. She was ashamed and wanted to protect her son. It's actually good evidence for us. It proves she was battered and hid it. Classic denial.
These are the people we want to put on the stand.
To prove Karen wasn't violent and she loved her son, we need to call character witnesses. The fact that these are upstanding friends of a well-respected Beverly Hills woman doesn't matter. Keep running the background checks to see if they have criminal records. If they do and the DA finds out, she will destroy them on the stand and our case with it. How's the search for a psychiatric expert going?
I found someone who can testify about battered parent syndrome.
Stop. Isn't that Karen's boyfriend, Scott Newcomb?
Yes. Looks like he has a rap sheet.
You need to get Tom.
Let's get these things over. Okay. When you're done, clean up this area right here. Yeah.
Mr. Newcomb!
I'm gonna go
Mr. Newcomb! Guess you couldn't hear me calling you.
I heard you.
We'd like to use you as a character witness for Karen.
You want to talk to me about my drug arrest?
Can you tell me about it? We need details if we're going to call you to testify.
You leave me off the witness list. You don't want to go down that path.
I can't help it. Now I'm curious.
Tom was right. Newcomb is suspicious. Called in a favor. The bus was for possession for sale. 6 ounces of coke. Sound familiar?
Sam and Newcomb were busted for dealing coke together.
Not quite. They were busted at different times and places. When I called my contact at the DEA about it, he said they were the same brand of coke, the same chemical compound, same packaging. Now, this is a list of Newcomb's car washes. They're cash-rich, Ron. That's how drug dealers hide money. Now I forget. Did Karen tell us that she was dating a drug dealer? The police took all of Karen's financial documents from her home office. They also took documents from her boyfriend, Scott Newcomb. Now we know why. We found out he was money laundering. He started by depositing small amounts of cash, less than $10,000 at a time, to different bank accounts in L.A. to avoid tipping off the government. It's called smurfing. He then made hundreds of wire transfers from the LA accounts into accounts overseas. That's called layering. Finally, he transferred the overseas funds back into his US accounts and invested in car washes, where cash comes and goes freely. That's called integrating.